So I asked the question, I said, what does that mean about overclocking? Does that mean overclocking is dead? As somebody that likes to do mainstream overclocking and tune and tweak and stuff, I said, what does that mean? Well, there's a couple of ways that we can talk about this. First and foremost, let's talk about LN2 overclocking, like world records and all that stuff. Very niche crowd. It's like we all like to watch it. It's like watching Formula One on TV, but none of us are ever going to be Formula One drivers, so we still watch it because it's cool. So the same thing when it comes to that type of overclocking. There's something called DLVR Bypass that is going to be built, that's available in the BIOS. Now, they may be called something different per vendor. Not all vendors are calling it the same. But DLVR Bypass is like, remove all safeguards. Let the motherboard tell the CPU what to do. But there's a caveat. What keeps the board vendors from just enabling that on default? Like enabling on, which is disabling, right? So what keeps a board vendor from doing that? Well, I asked that question, and basically it's gonna, if DLVR bypass is enabled, a couple of things are gonna happen. And what's about to happen, as I'm mentioning here, is coming in unfortunately, a future microcode update. I really think this should be now. I really think this is something that should happen now, before launch. It's going to put the CPU in what's called a low frequency mode, or LFM, which basically says the CPU will not exceed 400 megahertz unless the temperature of the package is below 10C. So this is for like the LN2 overclockers and such. So it's an extra safeguard that says you disabled DLVR, great. Unless you got the cooling to support these types of limits you're now asking for, you're not gonna get the frequency unless it's under 10C. So you're gonna need exotic subambient cooling to be able to benefit from DLVR bypass. Now that's not to punish the end user. That's to punish the board vendors that might try and enable that by default.
This argument right here, that this DLVR bypass should only be available to the LN2 overclockers, doesn't make any sense to me. That's really not the enthusiast mindset. That's more like gatekeeping, basically. I don't like it, so let's have a chat about it. Arrow Lake processors include a power delivery feature called DLVR, or Digital Linear Voltage Regulator. In simple terms, it's an extra step for the power delivery path from the motherboard voltage regulator, or MBVR, to the compute tile IP blocks, including the P-cores, E-core clusters, and ring. DLVR bypass, often called PG mode or power gate mode, removes that internal stage and powers the compute tile IP blocks directly from the motherboard voltage regulator. This overclocking feature was prominently advertised at the launch of Arrow Lake back in 2024, but has since been restricted to extreme cooling only. However, until recently, PG mode was still available on some Asus ROG motherboards, despite Intel's recommendation to remove it. But in newer BIOS versions, it's now being locked down in line with those guidelines. One of the key advantages of DLVR bypass is how straightforward it is compared to tuning with DLVR enabled. Just like with previous platforms, you can set a target voltage for lighter loads, then manage the heavy all-core workload voltage using the VRM load lines. As an experiment, I tried using DLVR bypass on the system used in SkatterBencher number 101 with the Core Ultra 7 270K+. And interestingly, I can almost match the performance of OC Strategy number 4, but with a lot fewer BIOS inputs. Some overclockers even claim PG mode offers slightly more overclocking headroom, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make. I'm not here to argue that we should have DLVR bypass because it gives us the highest overclocking headroom or the best path to the maximum performance. That's not the point. My argument isn't about whether or not there's more headroom. My argument is about whether or not we have the choice. We shouldn't be locked out of one method and have the decision made for us. No, we should have access to both methods so that we have the choice to test either one of them and see what works best for our system. Let's go through why this matters and why I believe enthusiasts should always argue in favor of enabling DLVR bypass. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. There's a simple engineering principle. It's better to have a capability and not need it than to need it and not have it. So even though most users won't touch the option, for enthusiasts, it provides a tool for debugging, experimentation, and performance tuning. And you never know when you actually need it to squeeze the most performance. Enthusiasts already accept the overclocking risks. Enthusiasts buying Intel Case-Q processors and using any of its overclocking functions, whether that's increasing the turbo ratio limit or adjusting a DLVR adaptive voltage, they already implicitly accept the risks associated with overclocking and performance tuning. DLVR bypass isn't uniquely dangerous compared to what we already do. Furthermore, there's several options that Intel can leverage to have the user explicitly acknowledge the risk of changing settings, including a BIOS warning message or even marking a CPU as overclocked on a hardware level with permanent fuses. 3. Choice is what built the enthusiast platform. A key reason why enthusiasts are drawn to Intel platforms with Case-Q support is depth of control and configuration options. For example, access to CPU ratios, BCLK tuning, subsystem ratios, memory timings, AVX offsets, voltage controls, and so much more. DLVR bypass mode fits perfectly into the Intel Case-Q tradition and philosophy. 4. It improves transparency. DLVR adds a hidden layer inside the CPU, but without DLVR bypass, you can't fully see what's happening between the motherboard voltage regulator and the CPU cores. However, in PG mode, you can compare with DLVR on and DLVR off. That level of visibility is incredibly valuable for reviewers, motherboard engineers, detailed-oriented enthusiasts, power efficiency research, and so on. 5. Most enthusiasts are not extreme overclockers. Let's be real, extreme overclockers do not constitute the majority of the overclocking enthusiast scene. They're a subset of the overclocking community that, admittedly, contributes a unique perspective to the enthusiast community by pushing the absolute limits of the computer hardware. However, most enthusiasts use air cooling AIOs or custom water loops. So, restricting DLVR bypass to only extreme cooling scenarios removes it from the people most likely to try it out for a daily rig. 6. It could improve heavy load performance. DLVR introduces another stage in the power delivery network from the motherboard voltage regulator to the CPU cores. Therefore, it may introduce additional power losses, especially in high current all-core workloads. The power loss translates into additional heat, which is a problem if you're thermally constrained, like most regular enthusiasts are. Enabling the DLVR bypass option at least gives you the option to optimize efficiency for your specific system and workload, and potentially improve the sustained performance. 7. Enthusiasts drive platform visibility. The performance tuning enthusiast community contributes a lot to the industry as a whole with technical analysis, platform validation, performance pathfinding, online visibility, and so on. It's like a crowdsourced open research group that researches means to achieve the highest possible performance or highest efficiency for a given CPU architecture. Many insights about Intel CPUs come from independent testing and research. Restricting access reduces the ability to study and understand the architecture, placing the burden of such research on the Intel workforce and the limited folks with special access. 8. BIOS warnings solves most of the problems. If the concern is misuse, the solution already exists. Make an opt-in feature that requires explicit approval from the user. You can use warnings like, "This setting may damage your processor and void warranty," which most motherboards already provide for voltage overrides, thermal protection changes, and so on. The argument in favor of providing DLVR bypass to regular enthusiasts isn't demanding it's available by default or part of the official specification. We argue that the option should be available for us to try, just like any other performance tuning option. 9. Artificial limitations frustrate enthusiasts more than anything. Performance tuning enthusiasts love exploring the limits of their computer chips. For this relentless pursuit of performance, they rely on hardware, firmware, and software tools developed by engineers working at the hardware manufacturers. The best case scenario is that those tools allow us to find the physical limits of the chip. However, often we find that the bottleneck is an artificially imposed limitation due to tools lacking the required configuration range or lacking the tools altogether. This frustrates enthusiasts because it gives them the feeling there's performance left on the table. But nothing is more frustrating to enthusiasts than a tool that was once there but is now removed, because users know that the hardware supports it and that it used to be available and now intentionally blocked. This creates frustration and reduces trust in the platform. 10. One of the defining traits of the PC DIY ecosystem that sets it apart from its substitutes is control and customization. This philosophy has enabled thousands of businesses around the world to make products for customers who wish to make the PC experience their own, whether that's about reducing noise, improving thermals, maxing out performance, optimizing power efficiency, improving stability, minimizing latency, and so on. DLVR Bypass, just like many of the overclocking and performance tuning tools and technology, perfectly aligns with this philosophy. The bottom line is that I think enthusiasts should always advocate for more tools in the overclockers toolkit, regardless of how useful that tool is for today's system. Maybe it becomes useful in the future. But we know that once a feature gets removed, it's very difficult to get it back when we really need it in the future. Now, at no point do I make the argument that Intel should encourage us to use DLVR bypass for overclocking, let alone allow motherboard partners to enable it by default. By all means, make it as explicit as needed that this is an advanced overclocking feature that, in case you misuse it, might damage your CPU. And it definitely voids warranty. But when all is said and done, then let us evaluate and let us decide. Because that's the enthusiast way that adds spice, color, and freedom to the PC DIY ecosystem.